I was wondering if you could start out just by telling us, what is the human biofield?
Sure. The human biofield is our body's electrical system, and that's a system that we don't really always learn about. It is the electricity that turns you on, that allows you to walk around, to see, to talk, to think, to feel. All our brain waves that are being produced are electric. Our heartbeat is electric. Our bones are actually crystalline structures that make electricity when we compress them, piezoelectric bones. Our blood carries a charge, and even the fabric that makes us hang all together, our fascia, is actually a semiconductor that is sending electric current. So it isn't just chemical and mechanical inside the body. There's actually electricity, electric current flowing through us all the time. And
Wow, I feel like we don't know this about ourselves. This doesn't seem like something we're usually taught.
It's true, right? But I actually have something that can demonstrate that this is, in fact, a fact. So
Okay.
this is called an energy stick, and it's got little lights inside of it. It doesn't have any batteries or anything, but it has circuits on the end. And when I hold it in one hand, nothing happens. But when I put my hand on the other end, I complete the
Whoa.
circuit, and my body's electricity is actually making that go. Right? So we are absolutely electric. We are electric.
Like you're a battery.
Yeah, like we're batteries. Exactly.
Okay, wow. So once we know this about ourselves, how is that helpful? I know you work with electric biofield to help people with their health, right?
Yeah, so this is a little model I have of what the biofield looks like. So we've also been taught that we end at our skin, right? But anything that has electric current running through it actually has a magnetic field around it. And so it's called the biofield, right? Our body's electrical system, and it's shaped like a torus. So a torus is like a bubble, but it has a channel down the middle. And so this part down the middle is like where our body would be. And then this is the magnetic field that surrounds it. And this is a standard shape in nature. Anything that has electric current has a magnetic field, and our bodies are no different. And so we want our body's electrical system to be bright, right, and strong. We want the current going through us to be strong so that we're shiny, so that we're radiant. And we want to be able to feed our electrical system. So what are some of the things that feed and brighten our electrical system? One is the sun, right? Just getting out in the sunshine. We know we always feel better when we're in the sun, and so that powers you up. And being in places where there's more electric charge in the atmosphere, like at the beach, when you have salt water and sand and you get barefoot, that's all really good for your electrical body. Also, things like singing and dancing and running and jumping, all of these things help to build charge. Things that aren't good, that make our voltage go down or make our light drop, is when we hold ourselves back, we hold back our emotions, everybody knows what that feels like when you hold yourself back, and that kind of dims your light. Eating junk food that isn't fresh, like when we eat food that's fresh, like fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, anything that's got light from the sun still in it, that's really good for our electrical system. Taking big breaths is also really helpful, because not only is our body electrical, but our atmosphere is also electric. In fact, we get most of the life energy for our electrical system from our breath, right? Because people can go for weeks without food, days without liquids, but you can only go a few minutes without breath. So another way to lower your voltage is to hold your breath or to breathe really shallowly, and that stops electricity from getting into your system.
Wow, this is so fascinating. It's like a whole different way to think about who we are as electrical beings that are taking in electrical energy from our environment, from our food, from the sun, from the air, from even, I've heard of these things called negative ions, and negative ions are actually positive, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, negative ions are what you get in nature, right? If you go out into the woods or to the beach, that is the negative charge that comes to us from the atmosphere, from the ground. And this is energy that is upgoing. So it feels good when we feel joyful, when we feel playful. We get too many positive ions when we're inside, when we're around devices, when we're under fluorescent lights. That creates too much positive charge and makes us feel droopy. But if you go out and you run around at the beach, then that's going to give you more negative charge and make you feel more alive.
So it sounds like the more we can charge up our actual physical bodies with all the things you're talking about, the healthier we'll feel, the happier we'll be, the more joy we'll have, which will create better lives and ultimately a better world. But I wonder, there are certain things that you're talking about, it sounds like, that do change our electrical charge in our field, like emotions. And I wonder if you can give us any advice about how those emotions have a different charge and what we can do to change them, because life happens. Sometimes we'll feel emotions that feel difficult.
It's important to understand that emotions, the way that we feel about things, is part of the system that keeps us healthy. We have a feeling sense in our fingers, and if you touch something that's hot, it tells you to move away, right? Our emotions are the same kind of feedback loop. They're really designed to help keep us healthy, to show us if we need to move away from something that's painful, move towards something that feels good, right? And the more that we can create positive, feel-good environments for ourselves, the more positive emotions we're going to experience. There's no such thing in our work as negative or bad emotions. They're all necessary. They all play a role in helping to keep us healthy. But where people end up with problems with their emotions is if they judge them or suppress them. As a girl, I'm not supposed to get angry, or as a boy, I'm not supposed to cry. Emotions are really like waves that ripple through our body's electrical system, through our wiring. And every emotion ripples through with a different kind of rhythm and tone. For example, when we're scared, when we get really scared, we shake, right? And so this is the way that rhythm of fear moves through us. It's got that kind of current. Whereas when we feel love or gratitude, that's a much smoother, flowing, good feeling kind of emotion. And every emotion, when we can really allow it and figure out how to express and share our emotions in a healthy way, right? There's nothing wrong with emotions, but if we yell at somebody that doesn't deserve it, that's not okay. So we need to figure out ways to allow to be guided by our emotions and what they're trying to tell us, so that we're not putting energy into holding them back and suppressing them. As we get older, that causes inflammation in the body. It causes your electrical system to get all jammed up and in knots, and then energy can't flow through it. It gets hot and it becomes inflammation. And that starts first in your mind and in your feelings. So it's really important to get to know your emotions and be friends with them. One thing that I think might be helpful to know is that what we call anxiety isn't really an emotion per se. It's a feeling. It's some kind of feeling that's trying to come up, but you don't think it's okay, so you're trying to push it down. And when we just call it anxiety, that's not really helpful. It's really useful to ask yourself, if I'm feeling anxious, what is the emotion that's underneath this? What's it trying to tell me? And how does it want to express?
Oh, such a great point, because I think so many people, and young people especially, are experiencing what we call anxiety right now, and we don't know what to do about it. So it sounds like, I just love this so much. If we're thinking about our emotions as like having a tone, like an electrical tone, it's trying to tell us something, express something through our body, and how can we allow it to move through and then move to a different tone. I've heard you explain, and I've actually felt you a bit on your massage table with a tuning fork, and explain how you can actually feel different emotions in someone's biofield and then smooth them with your tuning fork. Can you explain how that works? And maybe there's something that we can do on our own to do that for ourselves.
Your body, every time you feel something and those waves are going through you, any kind of moving wave will propagate, right? Which means it'll move away. So everybody's had the experience of getting a good vibe off of somebody or a bad vibe off of somebody. And that's because your thoughts and your feelings are producing waves that are rippling out away from you. So we can sense, we can tell when somebody's sad or when somebody's angry just by the way that they feel to us. So what's really interesting about tuning forks is a tuning fork is just a tone generator. It just makes a single tone. For example, this one is 222 hertz, which means it has 222 cycles per second that it vibrates, and it makes a specific tone. But it also produces what are called overtones and undertones, so that you hear 222, but then you hear all these higher and lower frequencies as well, right? So it's not just a single tone, it reverberates outward. So if you take two stones and you drop them into water, those ripples are going to start spreading towards each other, and then they're going to merge. We've all seen that happen. The tuning fork is producing ripples, and your body is producing ripples. And where those waves intersect, you can actually hear it in the tuning fork. If somebody is really afraid and I'm holding the tuning fork over them, I'm actually going to hear the pulsing quality of that fear. So what's really neat about our human bodies that I discovered by playing with tuning forks is that our bodies are actually self-tuning instruments. Meaning that when you bring in a tuning fork and it intersects the waves coming off, the body can actually hear itself. And it can hear when it's out of balance. Our bodies are actually designed to be in harmony and to be in tune. And just if you haven't looked in a mirror in a while, you get to a mirror and your hair is a mess and you have a poppy seed in your teeth, your first instinct is to put yourself in order, right? To smooth out your hair, to get that seed out, to put yourself in order. Your body wants to do the same thing. So when it hears itself out of tune, out of balance, it wants to put itself back in order. And because the tuning fork produces a steady tone and a steady rhythm, the body will actually balance its own tones and rhythms against this. It becomes like a metronome, like you use in a piano to keep a rhythm.
Oh, wow. So are you saying then that we could get a tuning fork like that one and use it to tune ourselves?
Yeah, you absolutely.
Could you maybe demonstrate that for us?
I can demonstrate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the tuning fork a few times, maybe bring us through a little guided meditation with it to help introduce you to your electrical system from the inside out. Okay, and then you can just see what you notice about how it makes you feel.
Okay, so should we like close our eyes or something?
Yeah, let's start. Let's just close our eyes and take a moment to do what I call scan inner space, to use your inner vision to feel into, to look into how your body feels right now. This is called somatic awareness, or being aware of what's going on in inner space. So notice how deep your breathing is, how comfortable or uncomfortable you feel, right? Then I want you to take a nice big breath all the way down to the belly. And when you exhale, I want you to use your imagination to send the energy of that exhale down into the ground, imagining that you can exhale down your legs and out your feet. And then take one more big breath like that into the belly, and then use your imagination, your intention to send energy down into the ground. So that's called a centering, grounding breath. And that just really helps bring you into your body and connect you to the ground. And now all I want you to do is just listen, pay attention, and see what you notice. So remember I told you about the torus and how it has this central channel down the middle. So I want you to imagine that you have this pillar or column of light through the middle of your body. It runs along your spine, out your tailbone, down between your legs, all the way to the ground. This is the central channel of the torus that is your electrical system. And I just want you to see if you can visualize almost like a column or a pillar of light right down your middle. And remember to breathe. So just really feeling that. And when you check in with it, is it straight up and down? Is it a little bit sideways somewhere? Can you use your imagination and your intention to bring it so that it's more on axis, more straight up and down? As Really feel that, and how the sound is actually adding energy to your electrical system. It's helping it to become brighter and its flow to become stronger. Now, the energy that flows through the center also flows around the outer perimeter. So when we talk about having good boundaries or good health, we want to have a strong shield, like in Star Trek when they have to put the shields up. So this is part of our shield, our bubble, and our protection system. And so the energy is flowing through the central channel. There's a part of it that flows down and then comes up and around the outside of your torus and then back down through the top of your head. And then there's another one that flows up. So we have an ascending current that goes up and around, and a descending current that goes down and around through this central channel. So I just want you to visualize it and really tune in to the fact that you have this inner light, that your spirit, your soul, isn't any different than your biological electrical system, that we all have light bodies and they are biological, but they're also connected to the one light. They're connected to the sun. All light in life comes from the sun. So this is like our own little inner sun that we have, that we are illuminated from the inside. And just really tune into and feel your electric body, and know that we talked about all the good things that you can do to feed this electrical system and keep it nice and strong, and really be a bright light within. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple more, and I want you to keep feeling that. You need to imagine, just with your imagination, you can make it maybe 10% brighter, like turning up a click on a 3-way bulb. And just with your breath and your imagination, let's just make ourselves just a little bit brighter. Good. Feels brighter. I can see it. Okay, take one more big breath into the belly, and then exhale down to the ground. And then come back and check in, and come back to that somatic awareness or curiosity, and see if it feels any different inside, and see what you notice. Kaya, what do you notice?
Wow, I feel like I got like a tune-up. If I was an engine, I got a tune-up. I felt it like vibrating in my body, and I just feel a little bit more energy. I do. I feel a little brighter. I feel like my light bulb got turned up a little bit. I feel like I might be glowing a little bit. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was really cool. Thank
yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
I know the kids are going to have some questions for you directly, but is there anything else that you want to tell them before we jump into Q&A?
Everybody is bright and beautiful inside, and everybody is great. This is something that I've learned from doing this work, going in and really listening to people. Sometimes stress or difficulty can make us feel dim or compressed, and then we think that's who we are. But it really isn't. That's just contraction and congestion and stopping the flow from happening. So if you're ever feeling that way and not good about yourself and dim and dull and unhappy, I want you to really remember that the true nature of who you are is very bright, it's very beautiful, and it's very brilliant. And everybody has that in them. And the more that you get in touch with your own electrical brightness and brilliance, the more that part of you will start to come out and really shine.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's beautiful, Eileen.